Hello everyone, welcome to our blog. So today's topic will be a bit different from the general reviews that we have been posting. So a lot of people have been asking me about a talk on general topics which would be useful to a larger audience. So one of the topics that people have been asking me to do a presentation or do a talk is on email etiquettes. So email etiquettes is something that is very important for any person who is in the business of drafting an email, right? So let's go through the contents of this particular presentation. So I will be covering what is called as email basics, the general etiquettes of drafting an email, what are the mistakes that one must avoid while drafting an email, and what is the difference between an email and an instant messaging, right? So let's go to the email basics first. Most of us have seen this kind of an interface. Most of us have drafted an email at some point in our time, right? So an email interface generally looks like this. So there is something like a to button, there is something like CC, there is something called as BCC, right? So to is obvious. It is the person or the individual to whom the email is addressed to. CC is nothing but a copy is being marked to interested individuals. BCC is something called as blind carbon copy. So blind carbon copy is sent to a person to whom or who is actively monitoring that particular topic but does not want the others to know, or you want that individual to know or be informed about that particular topic but you don't want the others to know, right? Now something that we generally do is we mark a lot of people in the to addresses. This is to be avoided because if a lot of people are being marked in the to column or to row, the people may think that the somebody will be doing it, but you will not get the requisite response from any of those individuals, right? So which becomes a problem as far as the email is concerned, right? So please be careful while you are including the to addresses. Mark the to address to only those individuals from whom you expect a response. I agree there may be multiple to addresses, but in case if there are multiple to addresses, please write what you expect from each individual, right? Mark a copy to the people who have to be informed about this whole conversation. Do not mark the entire office or the entire company or the entire team about this email unless and until they are interested in that particular email. All right. So these are some of the basics of 2CC and blind carbon copy or BCC. Add a subject line, a very concise subject line. We will discuss that in a bit of a detail subsequently. This section is actually called the body of the email, right? So the body of the email should also be concise. In case if you want to explain something in detail, use what is called as attachments, right? Because most of us nowadays read emails on a mobile device, right? So if you try to include everything and anything inside the email, people will not have the patience to go through your email and reply, right? So it is always a good practice to keep the email concise, and in case if you want to add more information, use attachments, right? Similarly, that you should always have a signature column also. The signature column is important because it tells the person that it conveys the information about the sender of the email. It should also be very concise. Do not use colorful words. Do not use gifs. Do not use lengthy uh, educational qualifications. So I've seen people who write everything from their 10th to the post graduation and doctorates. That is not essential, right? Because your designation and your company would generally convey what you are and who you are. All right. And in case if you want to convey more information like disclaimers and other things, give a link. People may want to see those things following those links, right? So again, most of us look at the emails on our mobile devices. So please keep the subject line and the body of the email very concise. Moving forward, some of the other general etiquettes are, as I told you earlier, use a very clear and a professional subject line. Limit the subject line to generally 5 or 6 words. The subject line and the body of the letters should not contain text which are all capitals. In email or in internet parlance, when you type everything in capitals, it means that you're shouting at the individual, which is not a very good practice while you're writing a formal email, right? Now, sometimes you may also want to add important or urgent on the subject line so that it helps the reader to prioritize his emails. Data says that 47% of the email recipients decide whether to open your email or not based on the subject line. And 69% of the email recipients report these emails that they receive as spam based solely on the subject line. So be very, very careful while you are drafting the subject line of your email, right? Moving forward, do not assume pronouns or salutations. One common mistake that we do is we assume the gender of the individual, right? There are names which are gender neutral names, right? Like a very common example would be Jyoti. Jyoti is a name which is considered to be a feminine name. So most of us assume that Jyoti is a person who is a female, and we must assume that we should address that particular individual as dear ma'am or dear Miss Jyoti and things like that. But Jyoti can also be a man, like Jyoti Basu, uh, the former chief minister of West Bengal, was a man, right? So do not assume names. In case if you are in confusion, write dear sir oblique ma'am. That is also an accepted practice. Always think before you type, because once you have sent that email, it cannot be retrieved back, right? So always think, paraphrase in your mind what you need to convey, and then only start typing. Please keep emails brief. We have already discussed about this. Use attachments in case if you want to share more information. Another thing that must be noted is that uh, when you are sending attachments, please be careful about the size of the attachments, because most of the servers have a limit on the size of the attachment that they can receive. Okay, so that is something that you must keep in mind. In case if the attachment exceeds the server limits, you may want to send a link which has got access to a folder which can convey more information, right? Please use appropriate level of formality, right? Email is a very formal communication document. In case if you don't want to scold a person on the face, and you are trying to let me put it this way: in case if you don't want to say it on their face, you please do not write it. Okay, sometimes people are very uncomfortable scolding people, right? If you don't want to scold a person, please put a polite email, right? Because emails are preserved forever. This may also come back to haunt you later on, in case if you have done or if you have written something which may put you in a very bad situation. Okay, these emails can also be used as legal references. All right, so please be very careful, use appropriate levels of formality. Proofread every email before you send. Now there are tools in which you can check your spellings, the grammar and other things. So please proofread your emails. Do not use abbreviations. This is not WhatsApp language. This is not instant messaging. This is a very formal means of communication. Please do not use abbreviations. Sometimes what happens is we, in a hurry, we send the emails to the wrong recipient and we regret it later. Like for example, Srinivas is a very common name in Andhra Pradesh and in South India. So you have Srinivas A, you have Srinivas B, you have Srinivas C. So you must know to which Srinivas you are actually sending this email. So please check you have the correct recipient and the correct email address. Like the Srinivas that you are trying to send may have a Yahoo address or may have a Gmail address or an office address also. So please be careful to send it to the correct recipient. Ensure that you mark a copy only to the relevant recipients. We have spoken about this earlier also. So please mark copies of the email only to the appropriate recipients, not to anybody and everybody. Okay. Moving on, some other general etiquettes. Please write complete sentences. This is not instant messaging language. Avoid multicolored messages because it actually conveys that you are not very serious about what you're trying to communicate. Sometimes correction messages or replies may be given in a different color, but it is generally to be avoided. Include a very short signature block. It should be informative but short. Skip the thanks replies. So what we also do is that whenever we get the information, we tend to say something like thanks or noted. So all of this unnecessarily clogs the server. If you're saying thanks on a WhatsApp or an instant messaging, that's still okay. But it is understood that whenever you have sent an email, the recipient has received it. So no need to say thanks. And in case if there are, let's say 20 people in CC and you are sending thanks, so 20 mailboxes are, filled with these thanks messages which convey no purpose or which serve no purpose. Please be cautious with emojis and text speak because this is a very, very formal kind of a setup. Emojis and text speak are actually good for instant messaging. They are not generally used in email languages. We also tend to use voice dictation nowadays because of the advent of technology. So please be very careful while using voice dictation. In case if you choose to use voice dictation, read what has been written before you send it. All right. So these are some of the general etiquettes. In continuation of the general etiquettes, not only do we need to send emails properly, we need to also read emails properly, right? So in case if there is something that requires an immediate reply, please acknowledge as soon as possible. And in case if the person is asking for certain data or some information which will take a bit of time for you to accumulate, tell them that you'll get back to them within 24 or 48 hours. And in case if the data gathering takes a bit of time, tell them an approximate time frame by which you can actually reply back to them. All right. Always make it a best practice or a habit to check and reply your emails. If you do not reply your emails, it sends a very unprofessional uh, uh, message to the sender of that email. All right. Always separate business and personal emails. In case if you are writing on behalf of your company, use the company's email address. Do not use your personal email address, right? Because sometimes using your personal email address conveys a very unprofessional outlook or sends a wrong message about your company, right? So as the data says, like people generally do not trust personal emails when they seek information from a company. All right. what are some of the mistakes to avoid while you are drafting an email, right? Do not reply when you're angry. You may not be in very good terms with the person who has sent you an email. You may be very angry with him, but that does not mean that you should reply back angrily to that person, because emails are always in black and white. They are preserved. Okay. Think before you write a reply. So what can you do? Maybe take a washroom break, drink some water, drink some tea and coffee, organize your thoughts, and then reply to that person. All right. Now, another mistake that we generally do is, while this generally happens when we draft a new email, we write all the people to whom the email is addressed to. We also write the CCs, we write the BCCs, and then we mistakenly or in a hurry we press the send button without any body, without any heading, or without any attachments. This is something that must be avoided at all costs, because otherwise you will spend more emails or spend time writing more emails apologizing for what you have done. Okay. And one other irritating mistake that people do is they reply to everybody. Sometimes an email may be sent to multiple recipients asking for information, and if one of the recipient is replying to everybody, then it sends an irritating message to all concerned. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, the HR must have asked you about your performance appraisal, and they are telling you that the performance appraisal must be sent by so and so date, so and so time. So you are in a hurry. You say, you prepare your beautifully written performance appraisal, and in the process, you say click on reply all, and you end up sending to the entire company, which is a major embarrassment, right? We have spoken about typing in all capitals. This has to be avoided at all costs. Do not ask or send for read receipts. This again clogs the system, clogs the server, and it serves no purpose. Okay, if the person has actually read it, he has read it. If he has not read it, you can do nothing about it. Okay, so these are some of the mistakes that you must avoid. Okay, again, now this is a very interesting concept, artificial intelligence, while drafting emails. Now, most of us think in our mother tongue, right? So whenever we want to convey some information, we think in our mother tongue and then we try to convey that information. Thinking in the mother tongue is not at all wrong. It is how you are wired. Okay. But when you want to convey whatever you have thought in the English language or in a professional language, most of the times we make a literal translation of what we think in our mother tongue, and the outcome is horrible, right? Both grammatically, and sometimes it may convey the wrong information also, wrong context also. Okay, so we have got these applications like ChatGPT, Copilot, and other AI applications where you can write whatever you have thought and ask it to rephrase it, okay, in proper grammar, in proper English, in proper spelling, right? So all these tools do a very good job of converting what you have thought and written based on your mother tongue into a message professional, concise message. Okay, but again, before you directly click on the send button, please read the email and check if it is conveying the appropriate information, because sometimes a wrong context may be conveyed using these AI tools also. So please do a recheck. There's no harm in spending a couple of minutes in rewriting whatever you have drafted rather than sending a clarification email. Okay, so artificial intelligence tools are very useful in drafting emails, so please use them. Now, before we conclude, let us just look into the differences between an email and an instant messaging application. As we discussed, email is very professional. It can It has to follow certain rules and regulation. Instant messaging is mostly personal. Email has a lack of speed because it may go to a server and then the server has to send it to the recipient, and you may look at your emails at a particular point of time, right? So it has got a lack of speed. Instant messaging is instant, right? Email has this feature of archiving. We can actually look up records of emails. Email trails can be looked into. Okay, so there is a archiving format which is being used in emails and which is useful for tracing out older information or older communications. Instant messaging does not have this feature of archiving. Most of them at least don't. Emails are non-intrusive because you can take your own time to look at your emails at a particular point of time, think about it, think about the email, paraphrase your replies, okay, and then write it. Instant messaging is mostly intrusive. You are expected to reply instantly, okay, and you may not have the time or the bandwidth to think properly before you reply. Emails are generally useful for details and application of thought. Instant messaging requires can be used for simple questions and simple answers. Okay, email is useful in a setup where documentation is important. Instant messaging can be useful where the communication does not require a document trail and is supposed to be instantaneous. Okay, so these are some of the differences between email and instant messaging. So before we conclude, I just want to uh, uh, say that email is something which is very, very important in a professional kind of setup. So we must draft emails in a concise and a professional manner because this will project us as an individual, and it will also convey the characteristics of the company that you are working with. Okay, so please be very, very careful while you are drafting the email and ensure that you follow most of the general rules and regulations. So that's all about email etiquettes. In case if you like this particular uh, presentation, please give us feedback. In case if you want to have more such topics, please message us. We are happy to make more such videos about general topics. And in case if you want us to personally come and give a presentation for an office setup or any kind of lectures, we are also open for that. So this is Srinivas signing off, and thank you for watching our blog. Bye bye.